Today, we are digging into a really powerful concept, one that separates truly brilliant products from just, well, good ideas. It's called design for manufacturing. Let's jump right in. Yeah, ever have that experience? You see a product with a genius concept, but when you get it home, it just feels flimsy, or it costs a fortune, or it just seems poorly made? Well, the answer often lies in this fundamental disconnect between the people who dream up the product and the people who have to actually build it. And this quote, it just perfectly captures the old, broken way of doing things. Designers would finish their work and metaphorically throw it over the wall to the factory with almost zero communication. This wall, this is the villain of our story today. So here's our game plan. We're going to tear that wall down. We'll start by looking at the problems it creates. Then we'll define the solution, design for manufacturing. We'll check out its incredible payoff with a real-world example, see how it's done in practice, and then wrap up with the core mindset that makes the whole thing work. Okay, so let's start with that old way. Because when you build walls between teams, you don't just get a bit of miscommunication, you get serious, expensive problems. So what happens when the people designing a product don't talk to the people building it? You get exactly this mess, a nightmare cycle of redesigns because, whoops, the factory can't physically make what was drawn. Constant, expensive changes. Costs go up, quality goes down, and it takes forever to get the product from an idea into a customer's hands. Thankfully, there is a much, much better way. It's a philosophy that basically replaces that wall with a collaborative roundtable. This better way is called Design for Manufacturing, or DFM for short, and at its heart is this concept called Concurrent Engineering. It basically means instead of designing the product first and then later figuring out how to make it, you design the product and the manufacturing process at the exact same time, with everyone in the room together. Yeah, the old way was like a linear relay race, right? Each team just passed the baton to the next. DFL is completely different. It's a continuous circle. All the key players, design, manufacturing, even marketing and suppliers, are working together from day one. To put it another way, think about building a house. The old method is like the architect handing blueprints to the builder, who then finds out from the electrician that the walls don't have space for the wiring. The DFM way? It's having all three of them in the same room from the very beginning, solving problems before they're ever built into the structure. And when you get that team working together like that, the results, they aren't just a little better, they are absolutely transformative. I mean, just look at this list. You get cheaper, higher quality products delivered to the market way faster. And those painful redesign cycles? Gone. Eliminated. It even opens the door for more product variations and smarter automation. But this isn't just theory. Let's look at a classic, real-world example. Okay, so back in the 1980s, IBM used this exact philosophy to create a revolutionary printer called the ProPrinter. They didn't just tweak the old design, they rethought the entire thing from the ground up, with the manufacturing team at the table from the very start. And the result was just astounding. The new ProPrinter had 65% fewer parts than the model it replaced. Just think about that for a second. 2/3 of the individual components, just gone. That means fewer suppliers to manage, less inventory to store, and a much, much simpler path to automation. So what does getting rid of all those parts do for you? Well, it slashed the assembly time by a mind-blowing 90%. A process that used to take half an hour now took just 3 minutes. That is the incredible power of designing for the factory, not just for the drawing board. So, this all sounds fantastic, right? But how does it actually happen? How do you get from this great idea to a real working process? Well, it really has to start at the top. You need support from leadership to break down those old habits. From there, you form that crucial multidisciplinary team. Then you give that team the right principles and tools to analyze the design. And finally, and this is key, you have to reward the team for their collaborative success, not just what individuals accomplish. So who's on this team? It's not just a room full of engineers. It's the purchasing department, because they know the real cost of materials. It's quality control. Crucially, it's the people from the assembly line who actually have to put the thing together. You even bring in your key suppliers, whose expertise can be totally invaluable. Everybody gets a voice at the table. And here is a perfect, tangible example of a DFM principle in action. So instead of designing a case that needs 6 extra parts, 4 screws, a washer, a nut, and a whole complicated assembly step, The team can just design simple snap fits directly into the plastic mold itself. The fastener is completely eliminated, the part count drops, and assembly becomes instantaneous. Simple, right? Ultimately, DFM is really more than just a process. It's a fundamental shift in how you think about creating things in the first place. This is one of the great slogans of DFM, and it really gets to the heart of the entire philosophy. See, the goal isn't to engineer a more complex, fancy part. The goal is elegant simplicity. It's about constantly asking, can we combine these two functions into one part? Can we eliminate this screw? Can we get rid of this component completely? And that brings us to the biggest takeaway. You know, the wall between design and manufacturing? That's just one example of a destructive silo. This idea of bringing different teams together from the very start to solve problems before they even happen, that can be applied almost anywhere. It really makes you wonder, what invisible walls exist in our own work, and what could we achieve if we finally tore them down?